Hello everyone, hope you're doing great. Today I thought I would tell you about a number of crazy things or weird things that happened when I conducted interviews. I worked as a communication coach for 3 years in one of the MNCs. That is when I came across most of these things. And later after that for the past 6 to 7 years I have been a freelancer. Well, to start with, one of the things that I noticed uh, that was that most of the candidates use this sentence when I ask them to introduce themselves. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to introduce myself. For some reason, for me, it feels very scripted. I truly feel that is unnecessary, that sentence is unnecessary. I'm not sure how other interviewers feel about it, but this is what I think. And okay, I'm referring to the notes because I do not want to miss out any of those things that I observed. So we used to conduct walk-in drives over the weekends, and people who happen to notice the posters would sometimes just walk in. Okay, they just get to know, they just find people waiting in the queue, and they realize that there is an interview going on, and they end up walking in jeans and slippers, wearing slippers, attending an interview. That's very weird. It's like, yeah, it's a walk-in interview. The drive is going to go on for the whole day. Go back home, dress up appropriately for the interview, and then come back. I mean, this is crazy. Yeah, you cannot walk into an interview wearing slippers. Big no-no. Um, okay, I noticed that one of the candidates mentioned about Six Sigma as one of their strengths on the resume. And when I asked the candidate to talk about it, the candidate ended up saying, "It's something that I have just started learning about, so I don't know much about it." Then why did the candidate put it on the strengths? So do not do such mistakes. If anything that you mention on the resume could become a question, so you should be able to speak about whatever you have written on the resume. Um, huh. So this happened when one of my trainees sent his resume to a client. The client went through the resume and asked this question. On your resume, you have mentioned that all the information mentioned above are true to the best of my knowledge. Why have you put the statement there? And the candidate said that's just something we follow here in India when we write our resume. The candidate just said, "Oh, I see. Here we only mention what is true on our resume." So that sentence is actually not necessary. Okay, what's the next one? Um, mm, all right. Uh, I was interviewing one of the candidates, and I asked her about the school she graduated from, and she said she did her 10th standard in one school and 12th standard in another school. If, let's say, she mentioned that she did her 10th in school A and 12th in school B, on the resume she had mentioned the opposite. Okay, so she swapped the names of the schools for 10th and 12th. I once again asked her, "Are you sure? Did you do your 12th standard in this school?" And she said, "Yes." "Then why have you mentioned something else on the resume?" And she was taken aback. This can give the interviewer an impression that you are not conscious, you're not careful, you're careless about important things. This could be the impression that some interviewers get. So you should be aware of this. This mistake happens often with freshers who just end up editing other people's resume. Um, it's better to avoid that, and you can even use some Canva templates, because when you do that, you end up editing every line carefully. But when you edit your friend's resume, you think most of the things are the same. So please avoid doing that. Um, Okay, so as a freelancer, when I conducted mock interviews at some schools, I asked the candidates to send their resumes to my email ID. And when these candidates sent their resumes, what they did was they did not, they just mentioned their email ID in the to section. They did not write any subject line. They did not write anything on the body of the email. They just attached the resume and sent it. Most of these students were from the two tier, three tier cities or smaller towns or even rural areas. So they might not have had the exposure to emails. But you do check everything on the internet, right? So when someone asks you to write an email and you do not know how to do it, go to the email, I mean, go to the internet and check how to write an email and then do it in a formal way. Um, okay. This is something very interesting that happened. When I asked a candidate to introduce himself, he said that um, he just said, "You have my resume, so I think you can go through that. You would know about me." I was interviewing 80 candidates that day, and how do you think I would have time to go through all resumes? So, if an interviewer asks you to introduce yourself, they want you to introduce yourself. All right. So, acting too smart is not always necessary. In most cases, it is not necessary. Just get the basics right. That is more than enough in most cases. Thank you.